Hey everyone, Brian Zane here with my review of AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen edition from July 27th, 2022. Little note here, I will have my review of the ROH pay-per-view Death Before Dishonor. That's going to drop on the channel on Friday morning in place of This Week in Wregret. I just finished watching the show, finally. I got to catch up on it this week, and I really enjoyed it. I have a lot of good things to say about it, and I'll get to that in my review on Friday. But first, of course, we got this Dynamite review to take care of, beginning with the opening matchup as Jon Moxley defends the interim AEW World Championship against Rusev, who had a good showing against his brother Dragon Lee this past Saturday on Death Before Dishonor. By the way, R.I.P. Rusev's Ring of Honor theme. I really like that song, and he doesn't have that anymore. I guess it'll take some getting used to. A very physical matchup here. Rusev really gets to show off his heel side against Moxley. He bloodies Moxley at one point, like wipes the blood off Moxley's forehead, licks the blood off his hand. That's pretty gross. He's like choking him out with cables at one point. There's an awesome moment near the end where Moxley's like stomping away on Rusev's head, and Taz goes, "You won't learn that in any dojo." And William Regal, who's on commentary, goes, "But you'll learn it in ours." Ha ha ha! Like this evil laugh he's got. He's so happy about teaching people how to stomp someone else in the face. I love that. Andrade El Idolo shows up with a distraction, shoving Moxley off the top rope to help out Rusev. Then the Lucha Brothers chase him out. Rusev kicks out of the Death Rider, but walks right into the choke that Moxley has him in, and so Rusev taps. Moxley wins and defends that interim championship. But then Judas plays, and we get this really weird version of the Jericho Appreciation Society out on stage. It's Chris Jericho, it's Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, it's Angelo Parker, and Anna Jay. So not the original quintet here. It's a whole different group entirely. But Jericho putting over the role that Jericho Appreciation Society is on. Anna Jay is proud to be the new member. She's Anna JAS, and she'll choke everyone out who doesn't like her. Everyone, the crowd, wrestlers, everybody else. Jericho's demanding his long-awaited world title rematch from Moxley in 2 weeks at Quake by the Lake in Minneapolis. And Moxley has no time or patience for this sports entertainment bullshit, as he describes. So it's very sad what Jericho's doing, all these nicknames, the king of the marketing gimmick, basically. He says he wants the Jericho of old. He wants the Lionheart variant of Chris Jericho. So if Chris could just turn that switch on in 2 weeks, that'd be great. But in all seriousness, though, I think it's kind of cool that now at this late stage in the game for Jericho, he can kind of play with different aspects of his gimmick. Like he brings up the Painmaker every once in a while. Hasn't really brought the Lionheart since, I guess, ECW One Night Stand 05. I mean, he had those tights at least, so I wonder if we'll get a return to that kind of form. It should be interesting. It should be very interesting to see how Jericho will take that interpretation of like the Lionheart style and bring that, to AEW in 2022 in 2 weeks. Then they announced there's going to be an all-new Trios Championship coming to AEW. They're going to crown new champions at All Out in Chicago, and I'm very excited for this. I think it's a long time coming for AEW to have a six-man tag title. There's a lot of great candidates for it. I wouldn't be surprised if some variation of the Elite or the Undisputed Elite were the inaugural champions, either Adam Cole and the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega returning alongside the Young Bucks. But I mean, it just seems like, the rumor, the long-standing rumor was, we don't really want to bring those in until Kenny Omega comes back. Well, maybe one will lead to the other, is my theory. Dante Martin's interviewed backstage about his match with Sammy Guevara coming up, and he says he's got Ty Conti with him in his corner and says that Sammy can't hack it anymore in AEW because he's too busy traveling around the world and eating grapes and getting his feet rubbed and everything. But he says to counteract Ty Conti, he's going to bring Sky Blue to his corner for the match. On we go now to the FTW Championship as Absolute Ricky Starks defends against Danhausen, who gets an enormous ovation here. Starks gets a very fancy pre-match little hype package about him and how absolute of a champion he is. Very cinematic. He's in all these fancy locales and everything. Definitely giving Starks a lot of airtime here, and you're going to see how that translates into what goes on later on here. Early in the match, Danhausen mocks Ricky's taunt, gets another big reaction, and that's kind of a short and sweet match here. Danhausen does get a couple of moves in, more than, say, for example, he did against Tony Nese several weeks ago, but in the end, Ricky beats him pretty handily with the spear and goes on to win the match, retains the FTW Championship, and then afterward, he's full of piss and vinegar, grabs the microphone again and says, "Hey, let's do another open challenge." And the person who responds is Hook, who is either, is he a former Team Taz cohort, or is he just like not really chilling with him right now. I don't know if that was ever really established, but Hook comes out. He's wearing the orange boxing shorts, which look great. So then we have this matchup here. And again, it's kind of a short and sweet match here. Hook gets his stuff in fairly early. He gets the red drum locked in after avoiding the Rochambeau, and Ricky taps, and you've got new FTW champion snapping the year-long reign of Ricky Starks. And now this is the first father-son pairing to hold the FTW title. First it was Taz, and then many years later it's Hook, which is a pretty cool moment here. Breakout moment for Hook, keeps that win streak, keeps that push alive, and it's very on brand for him to win the FTW title. It makes a lot of sense. We get like this show of respect between Starks and Hook after the match is over, and then after the commercial break, we get this post-match deal with Shivani interviewing Ricky Starks. Powerhouse Hobbs is there to kind of like, console him more or less, and Starks gives this really passionate promo about how he brought prestige to the FTW title and he busted his ass, this and that. He's talking about how his time isn't a month ago or a year ago, it's right freaking now. The fans are really digging this promo, and as soon as Starks mentions, me and Hobbs, we're doing, boom, Powerhouse Hobbs out of nowhere just decks Starks from behind and then slams him down with a big spine buster, really putting over the, oh my god, he could have re-injured his neck and everything. And yeah, that was how that whole saga ended. For what an arc for Ricky Starks in this show alone, because he does a nice short and sweet match with Danhausen, which puts Danhausen over enough, but he still wins and everyone looks good in the end. Then he puts over Hook in a big way by dropping the belt to him, and then he cuts this really nice promo. Everyone likes it. Hobbs decks him, so Hobbs with a turn on Starks. Starks is clearly now put in this like babyface position. They like spent a good 15-20 minutes just like, here's the Ricky Starks portion, here's why we are gonna strap the rocket to him and really put a lot of investment into him. That's the vibe I got from that, and that's really cool to see it pay off. Like, Starks has been kind of just consistently a great performer in AEW since he's been there. He's only gotten better, and his character is working. It's clicking, it's connecting, and I think this babyface turn here could be the start of something really big for him. The Acclaimed are backstage to talk about this last week on Rampage when they, beat the Gun Club, the Ass Boys, in the rap battle, but then Austin and Colton were sore losers and jumped them after the thing. And so they say on Friday they will debut their new music video, which will reveal the kind of match they want to face the Ass Boys in next, so stay tuned. Up next, Sammy Guevara takes on Dante Martin in singles action. Ty Conti in Sammy's corner, Sky Blue in Dante's here. Both guys showing their agility early on. I mean, you look at these two guys on paper, you get a pretty good idea of what you're going to get here. These guys, there's flips, there's dips. At one point early on, Sammy and Ty try to bail, but then Dante catches him, jumps off the stage onto Sammy. The height he gets on that jump is just totally ludicrous. Dante gets crotched on the middle rope as he's coming back in the ring. Sammy takes over. Dante going for like a springboard off the top of the outside and gets caught with a big flying knee. It seems at one point near the end, Dante appears to injure his leg. I think it happens when he sticks the landing off of one of his many springboard attempts here. Then he gets hit with the GTH, and he comes down pretty hard on that one as well. Sammy wins this one. I thought it was an okay showing. I think it was just like, I don't know, it just, to me, this one felt like the least interesting of the matches, and I don't know why, because they were certainly exciting. They certainly took to the air and did these death-defying things, and I don't know, maybe if it was Dante's supposed injury that kind of threw me off or what, but I just felt like, a lot of the stuff we saw here, we'd seen it already, and like, it was just kind of highlight reel, and compared to what we'd seen before that and what we'll see after that in this show, to me, this match was kind of just the most there. Daniel Garcia backstage interviewed about Bryan Danielson. He says that he's been here every week getting better in AEW, while Bryan Danielson's been out getting better at gardening since he took time off for his injury. He says that when he wins, he will be the greatest technical sports entertainer in the world. Then we hear from Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal. They're kind of moving on from what happened at Death Before Dishonor, and they want to go after the best friends who are within earshot. They're 6 feet away in their bright tie-dye suits, so they come in to kind of respond to what they're talking about. And so basically it sounds like the gauntlet's been thrown down for a match on Rampage on Friday, and Sanjay Dutt, who hasn't wrestled a match since 2017, gets goaded into being part of the match, which he immediately regrets as soon as the best friends walk away. away, which is pretty funny acting by those guys there. We finally hear from Jungle Boy. After weeks of Christian Cage being an overall douchebag, it's time for a bit of a rebuttal of sorts for Jungle Jack. His opening lines are, "Christian Cage, you are the biggest pussy I've ever met." Then he goes on to this rant about, he wonders why Christian was so mad about, not getting that Battle Royal bonus last year, and he realizes it was because Christian was hard up on cash because his wife had just divorced his bitch ass. So it's like, oh, you want to say my dad's dead? Well, you got divorced. Boom, roasted. And by the way, not evil anymore. Luchasaurus was there with Jungle Boy here in this promo, and Jungle Boy explains that basically Luchasaurus was there with Christian for the last several weeks to keep him protected so he'd be good and ready for when Jungle Boy was ready to attack him. And he starts talking a bit about this, like he's telling the story of how he and his uncle dug his father's grave 3 years ago. As he's going about that, then Christian Cage interrupts him backstage. And basically he says, well, I'm going to kill you and you're going to be nestled up right next to Luke Perry in that dirt grave there. And he says, I know all your secrets, Jungle Boy, and I'm going to prey on your weakness. And that's how that segment ends there. I thought this was a good promo off with the two of them here. Like Jungle Boy showing some backbone here, showing some toughness. I think the promo, I wish he had that same kind of energy and fire, that opening line throughout the rest of the promo. I wish that he had that same energy because there was a bit of an inverted bell curve, I think. I think he was getting into the good stuff again, talking about, digging his father's grave. And then, of course, Christian interrupts. Christian's rebuttal, I think, was good, but and it sets up more of that storyline. But yeah, Christian's a real bastard. Jungle Boy, whatever deficits he may have had with promos before, they seem to be, improving here. It's not a complete turn around for the better, but it's definitely much better than it's been. The Young Bucks are backstage. They're just now learning about the Trios Championships, which I think is kind of odd because aren't they still EVPs, and wouldn't they have signed off or at least gotten some kind of advanced knowledge about this before it was announced publicly? Cutler volunteers himself to be the third man, but Matt and Nick immediately shoot him down, and then they walk by Hangman Page and they have this kind of awkward, where they maybe want to start talking, have a conversation. Then the Dark Order come in and they break up the scene, and they kind of want to celebrate Hangman's birthday with him, and that leads the Bucks kind of walk away. So planting the seeds for a possible reunion between those guys, Hangman and the Bucks. Setting something up for Adam Cole's return because they were advertising the return of the Undisputed Elite next week. So, I don't know, some interesting seeds being planted here. When will we get that inevitable return, that reunion, I guess, between Page and the Bucks, the rest of the Elite? Time will tell. We get a handicap match as Swerve Strickland takes on Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling. Keith Lee is banned from ringside here. This match was also okay. Nese and Swerve do most of the work of this thing. Sterling will once or twice maybe in this match, maybe twice, gets involved and gets his heel heat in like a good manager should as the match goes on here. But then after the break, Sterling's accidentally tagged in and there's nowhere for him to run. Swerve absolutely lays him out, just knocks Mark the hell out. Then soon after the bell rings, we go to the back and we see Keith Lee has been laid out by Josh Woods, the former ROH Pure Champion. He was one of the judges in the Pure title match this past Saturday, and he's also been scouted by Mark Sterling the last couple of weeks on AEW Dark. So he lays out Keith Lee, Nese lays out Swerve, and that's how the segment ends. I'm just super excited for Josh Woods. He was one of my favorite guys to interact with and work with behind the scenes at ROH. Great guy, great personality, and a great wrestler to boot. I'm very excited for him, and I can't wait to see how he can do here in this first real storyline in AEW. Malachi Black cutting a promo on Miro. He says that what Miro calls redeeming, Malachi calls balancing out the uneven. He says he tells Miro he will make him sit on the throne that he himself has built, and people will kneel for him, which, sounds like a pretty good deal, honestly, fighting Malachi Black, getting people to kneel before you on a throne. Then Brody King enters the shot and says he's not done with Darby Allin yet, challenges him to a coffin match, I think next week or 2 weeks from now. Should be brutal. Those guys just know how to have a good looking fight, just good gnarly looking fight, and with the coffin match stipulation, that should be just really fun to watch in that kind of car crash kind of way. We get a recap of PAC successfully defending the All-Atlantic Championship once again. Then for the AEW Women's Championship, Thunder Rosa defends against Miyu Yamashita. Yamashita beat Thunder in an eliminator match a couple weeks ago in Japan to earn the right to this matchup here. Lots of good good back and forth in this thing. I really don't have much to say about it other than that it was just a good match. Good back and forth. Yamashita really has the champion on the ropes in a couple of instances near the end. Some of these big kicks really knocking Thunder out, but she's able to recover, hits the Fire Thunder Driver to win and retain. Nice little kind of story they built over 2 weeks with the Eliminator match in Japan leading up to this return match with Thunder winning. It was a good opponent for Thunder. I think they worked well together and yeah, had a good match, but not much else to say besides that. Time now for the main event as Bryan Danielson, back from injury, takes on Daniel Garcia, the Mask of the Red Death in the Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho is on commentary for this match, by the way. Garcia is initially outmatched by Danielson for the first couple of minutes, but then the big turning point comes when Danielson hits his top rope missile dropkick, but in doing so appears to ring his own bell in storyline. So for the rest of this match, anytime Danielson gets a big flurry of offense or a big run, he immediately has to stop and kind of like semi-collapse for a bit and keep selling the head, which is, kind of hard to see. I get why they did it, to tug at the heartstrings, and Danielson has that history of concussions. I think that's a reason why I feel so weird seeing him do that. I think like selling fake concussion injuries, especially today, it's walking a fine line, is all I'll say about that. So anyway, Danielson's bleeding. Like I said, anytime he gets an advantage, he starts passing out a bit. Danielson does get the cattle mutilation locked in for a little bit here as he makes his comeback. They're trading elbow strikes. Near the end, Danielson hits the big knee, wants to go for more, but his ankle is grabbed from the outside. Somebody's hiding under the ring and through the apron, grabbing his leg. That allows Garcia to take over and put the sharpshooter in, and Danielson passes out from the pain. Garcia wins in a huge upset against the former world champion Bryan Danielson. And then we find out Jake Hager was under the ring, and so he and Jericho and Garcia all celebrate, and Garcia almost trips on Danielson's prone body as we fade to black. But yeah, I thought it was still a great main event. The story of Danielson's injury almost took away from it, in my opinion, but I think they did just enough to keep it really interesting. And the win, all these protections against Danielson, the concussion storyline, cheating from Hager, passing out in the submission instead of tapping. Danielson was pretty well protected here, but nevertheless, it was still a really big win. Dare I say, a star-making performance for Garcia, or at least it's going to give him a lot of, it's going to raise his stock significantly after that. And based on his performance at Death Before Dishonor, which again I'll get to in the review, and what we saw here tonight, big couple of days for Garcia for sure. I really enjoyed this episode because talk about youth movement. That was the big thing that I got from this week's show. The youth movement, the kind of the lesser guys getting a shot, getting a chance to shine here. It was really cool. You saw guys like Josh Woods get a good look. Roosh got a good look. You've got, Jungle Boy getting good promo time. Ricky Starks, his real coming out party, I think, was tonight. Danhausen got a good look. That was fun. Hook, Powerhouse Hobbs. So many people got this great time to shine tonight that normally wouldn't. And Daniel Garcia, of course. This was just a really good episode for giving a lot of people a lot of really cool opportunities and really getting things in motion for a lot of what could potentially be great storylines and programs going forward. I was really excited about the direction AEW is going in based on what I saw here. But what did you think about Dynamite this week, folks? Let me know in the comments section below. Just a reminder, my review of Death Before Dishonor will be dropping on Friday. And of course, this weekend, it's me in Nashville, Tennessee for STARRCAST 5. If you're going to be in Nashville, come find me on the convention floor at the fairgrounds on Saturday. Then on Sunday at 10:45 on the stage, I'm going to be joined by Saraya, the former Paige, making her first appearance since her WWE departure. There's going to be a lot of ground to cover with that interview. I don't know if 1 hour is going to be enough time with her on stage, but I'm going to try and make it work, folks. And of course, on Sunday night, it's Ric Flair's last match. And it's going to be wild. It's going to be a crazy dream card, and I will be in Nashville to help cover a lot of the action. You'll see my content coming out on the channel in the next several weeks. And of course, if you want to order any of that stuff from Fight TV, go to the link at the top of my description. That'll tell the algorithm that Brian Zane sent you, so you can order all your different shows, stage shows, live wrestling events, what have you, from the weekend at STARRCAST from FightTV.com. That's going to do it for now, folks. Thanks once again for watching. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.